Okay, so I was looking at online. I was looking at some articles. It was talking about the stuff I've been hearing about these last few days. I think since about yesterday, that there's been some riots and stuff going on in the UK. We are August 7th, 2024, so I don't know anything about that myself. I have never been to the UK. Always was kind of curious to go, to be honest. It's just a lot of history there and just interesting things. But unfortunately, I was never able to go, maybe in the future. But it's just sad because what I'm hearing, what's been going on over there for the last few years, it's not really the same, the kind of sort of UK stuff that you get from their shows and their media and just, what I sort of associated with the UK. Um, anyway, I was curious because I watched some stuff and some channels and folks who were talking about they talk about fighting for one's country and, just having that sense of morale or whatever. And they talk about world events and a lot of different things. Anyway, heard that something was going on with the UK, had no clue what I was watching, what the individual was talking about. I just had a feeling that there was some kind of conflict or violence that occurred. And so today I read some articles because I'm waiting on my interview. I found this job and they do virtual mass hiring events, which just know your chances of getting a job if you have to do it that way are very, very low, unfortunately. I've done them before and it never works out. I don't even get to do an interview, you just wait for hours, and so this is kind of a waste of time and just nonsense. But I guess I'm gonna wait and try anyway. It's not like I have anything else to do. Anyway, it's hot, so my interview should be in about half an hour to an hour. And so I've just been waiting for my turn. And meanwhile, I thought, okay, I'll look into some articles and try to figure out what's going on in the UK. What is this big event that folks are talking about? And then I was reading into it, and it seems that what went on. This is just iced coffee I got. It's not an actual Starbucks thing. I just got an iced coffee Dunkin' Donuts bottle from the grocery store, and then I asked for just ice, and then I used my own. But what you gotta do. It's crazy to me how many folks are still using, Starbucks and drive-thrus. That tells you that Americans are not really suffering. I know some are, like myself. Sorry, some in worse conditions. I didn't mean to film her, so if she finds out, sorry. So I was trying to figure out what's going on in the UK. So I was reading, and I guess what went on was there's been some riots. I forgot when this occurred, but recently, I think within the last few weeks, in South, what is the name of the location? South something. There's a port nearby there. And so I think some areas have, from what I read a few articles. They're, relatively short, stuff like CNN or things like that in different countries. But yeah, I just started looking into it for just, not even 20 minutes or so. So I'm curious if there's any other information, but I thought I'd just kind of talk about what I read. I don't know if any of this is true. Again, I don't live in the UK. I don't know. I'm just telling you what the article said. So I'm just curious if folks who live in the UK, or if you can confirm this in any way, what's going on. Is what I'm reading, is that accurate or not? And you guys can discuss. Are things similar going on in other countries? because I read when I was reading these articles, I think one of them was saying that there's a concern that other countries are going to have riots and follow that kind of mentality uh, because of issues, either because of what's going on in the UK or something similar in their country. So, yeah. No, have mercy. That's what the song is saying, have mercy. Anyway, so from what I was seeing, that there was some attacks that started. See, some articles were saying it was because of immigration, which I doubt it. Well, maybe, I don't know. Because usually when there's conflicts, especially in Europe, most sources will say, oh, it had to do with immigration. Oh, there's a, racist, whatever. And I kind of doubt that, to be honest. I mean, I'm sure there's folks who do have an issue with other races, but, they wouldn't risk going to jail or even worse, especially in those countries where you don't have as many rights as you have in America. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know. I just don't believe it. Now, if certain individuals, and it's not really by coincidence, because let's face it, when you get, a race that is similar, whether it's because of their background, whatever background, cultural, racial, whatever, it's like those folks tend to have similar beliefs, similar way of acting. So if a certain community or certain folks, take action and feel entitled and kind of take over, the culture that was already there by the individuals who were there before them, then obviously there's going to be conflict. And that doesn't really have to do with folks having an issue with the race, or with the nationality. That has to do with, hey, you're taking what's mine, and you're doing it so brazenly. And the way that I see things, a lot of countries are being invaded. It's as basic as that. Whatever form, it takes, however it's done, an invasion is an invasion. And that's what's occurring. You've got folks from other countries coming in to other countries and trying to take over and, form their own kind of authorities. And I mean, there's just been so many incidents. So that some immigrants, some are not, they know what they're doing. They're not innocent in all this. They're trying to make believe that they're innocent when in reality what they're doing is they're trying to invade. So I do believe that there are some immigrants, some who do have nefarious actions. And, if you want to do a war, if you want to do a conflict, invasion, that kind of stuff that has aggression built into it, who am I to judge? We've done that as humans for I don't know how long. But let's not act like it's some kind of innocent sort of thing, that you're being attacked when you're the one who's initiating. So, I don't know the UK law whatsoever, really, but from what I understand, they don't have the same constitutional amendments or luxuries that we do in America. So, it's extra kind of brave if you want to look at it that way. It's a lot more risky for them to gamble with their life than, Americans. So I've heard some folks say, that this is brave. Some UK citizens are fighting for what's theirs for their country, what they want in their country, which that's a way to look at it, let's face it. I don't even see an ounce of the courageousness that, not even the UK, there's other countries who have taken it farther, have closed their borders, have just done whatever they can. They're not taking any risk with their country whatsoever. And I think that's commendable, uh, you know, to look after what's yours. And I don't see that courage or that commitment whatsoever in the US. It's very, very sad that Americans just don't seem to care about each other. They don't seem to care about their country. All they want is their trinkets and, their costly stuff and their nice lifestyle, and that's it. You know, if they have to sacrifice their fellow citizens, then so be it. They don't care. Um, and I've seen it in many small ways. It's like if you can't even deal with the tyranny of these businesses, which are sort of quasi-governments, because a lot of these businesses, these multi-millionaire corporations or whatever you want to call them, they are absolutely intervening in our life. Absolutely. They're telling us how we can associate with each other. It's kind of like they're acting like they own us, really. And it's sort of in this indirect way. But yeah, I don't know. I think they just have too many ties with the government, I'm sure. So yeah, in the US, we're not seeing this kind of action whatsoever. I mean, maybe on a small level of, I don't know there's millions of us in America, and maybe like max a few hundred, and that's kind of stretching it. That, January 6th, many folks went to jail and had their lives messed with. So there's some Americans who are, willing to sacrifice a lot, but most won't even sacrifice a little bit. They're very comfortable. And honestly, I think they're very scared, but, very kind of weak. I don't know. We have a very weak citizenry. So yeah, what you're seeing in the UK, you're not seeing it here whatsoever, and it's sad. Anyway, so I was reading what's been going on in the UK, and like half of the articles was saying that it was the anti-immigrant